The night groaned like a wounded drum. The wind rattled the raffle roof of Oka village, making the palm trees sway as though they were whispering warnings to the ears of the living. The moon was swallowed, and lo, a pale eye staring unblinking at the earth, as if it too wished to witness what will soon be written in the sound of fate. In one corner of the village, a woman stared from her mat. Mama Wilson's heart beat fast, though her compound was silent. Her spirit knew what her lips could not yet say. Her only son, Wilson, would soon walk a road where shadows sharpened their teeth. Greener pastures. Wilson had been whispering to himself this past moon, his eyes burned with hunger, not for food alone, but for wealth, for glory, for the golden shine that men carried in the city. Wilson was the pride of our mother's womb, the first son of Chidi the hunter, a man whose arrow never missed the antelope. When his eyes were sharp with palm wine, but the land had grown weary, the soil thin, the rain uncertain, yam that once soared like pregnant women now rotted like the toes of the starving child. Wilson was tall, his voice deep as a talking drum, but his hands were calloused from hoeing the earth without a reward, and his heart had grown bitter. One dawn, when the rooster had just cried for the third time, he knelt before his father. "Papa, let me go," he said, his voice trembling but firm. "The land of Oka has become deaf to my sweat. The city calls me. Men say Lagos is a place where even the poor eat right every day, where houses touch the skies, where riches flow like palm wine at a festival. Let me go and find greener pasture. Let me become a man of wealth and return with glory." Chidi looked at his son long and hard. His eyes were like dying coal, full of warning unspoken. Finally he sighed. "Wilson, my son," he said slowly, "do not let hunger push you into the arms of spirit you do not understand. Remember the proverb, a man who chases another man's shadow may find himself swallowed by darkness. But if your heart refuses to listen, go, carry your blessing, but also my warning. The road to riches is lean, with spirits waiting to drink." He learned that the city smile were false. For months, he chased work like a hunter chasing antelope, but the prey always slipped through his finger. He carried load in the market until his back screamed. He hawked sachet water under the sun until his skin darkened. He loaded buses. At night, he slept in a crowded room where men laid on the floor, their snore clashing like drum. "I cannot go back empty-handed," he muttered to himself again and again. "Better to die in Lagos than to return to Oka, or hear the mockery of those who said I will fail." Yet, each sunrise brought the same hunger, the same struggle, the same hopelessness. Still, Wilson endured. Pride kept him rooted. It was one evening, Wilson paths crossed with Joseph. Joseph had been his childhood friend in Oka. They had chased goats together, fetched water from the stream, and shared roasted corn under the sun. But the Joseph who now stood before Wilson was no longer the bare fruit boy of old days. "Wilson, my brother," Joseph with laughter, pulling him into his arm. "See how Lagos has punished you. Ha! The city has turned you into shadow of yourself." Wilson's chest burned with envy and curiosity. "Joseph, my friend, how did you do it? When we left the village, we were the same. Look at you now. You shine like the morning sun. Show me the road you walk. Teach me the secret." Joseph smiled with cold, his eyes glittering with something unspoken. "Brother, you still believe that sweat alone brings wealth. Lagos is not a farm where yam grow by horn. Yeah, Wealth is in the hand of the spirit. There is a man, an herbalist, feared and respected. Babalawo Ewegbami, he makes king. Wilson had thundered, Babalawo, an herbalist, Wilson, these things are dangerous. Joseph's smile deepened. Dangerous? Poverty is more dangerous than any shrine. Do you think wealth comes free? No, my brother. It comes by sacrifice. The gods demand what they love most, but once you pay the price, the city will bow at your feet. What price? Wilson whispered, his voice shaking. Joseph said, not money, not cow, not goat, something more personal. But believe me, once you step into his hut, your suffering will end. Are you not tired of hawking water? Are you not tired of wearing shoes with holes? If you are ready, I will take you there. That night, Wilson lay awake in his crowded room, staring at his ceiling. His heart was torn. He thought of Adaeze, the girl he left in Oka, the one who wrote letters, scenes with hope, urging him to be strong. Could he betray her? Could he risk his soul? But hunger has a voice louder than conscience, and envy speaks louder than love. By dawn, his decision was made. The road to Babalawo Ewegbami shrine was narrow, lined with bush that whispered as if alive. Red clothes floated on wooden stick, feathers and cowries angled on the tree, and the very air felt heavy, thick with spirit unseen. Joseph led the way, his face calm as though he had walked his path many times. Wilson followed, his leg trembling, with his mouth wide open. Babalawo Ewegbami was a man of strange presence. His skin was dark as night. He did not ask their names. He did not ask their purpose. Instead, he spoke as if he had been waiting. So you seek wealth. His voice deep like thunder rolling over hills. You want your name to carry weight. You want pockets that never dry, shoes that never wear. Enemies will bow before you. Wilson nodded, too afraid to speak. Wealth is not free. The spirit do not give, they only exchange. Bring me something, I will open the river of riches for you. But know this, once the river starts, it never stops until you drown what you love. What must I bring? Wilson finally managed, his voice cracking. The herbalist continued, not goats, not cow, not money. Bring me the undergarment of a woman you love most. With it, her destiny shall be bound to your wealth. As long as she breathes, riches will not leave your side. The word struck Wilson like a spear. Pant of my girlfriend. The herbalist's face did not change. Yes, only then will the spirit believe your seriousness. Only then will wealth answer your call. Silence filled the hut, broken only by the crack of the fire. Wilson's heart thundered in his chest. Adaeze's face flaunted before his eyes. The girl who had given him her love, her trust, her letter full of hope. Could he betray her so? But then Joseph's hand gripped his shoulder. Brother, do not hesitate. Poverty will kill you before loyalty save you. Make the sacrifice. Choose wealth or remain here, a rat among lions. Wilson closed his eyes, torn between love and greed, between the warning of his father and the hunger at his belly. The spirit waited, and with that, the die of his destiny was cast. For many nights after leaving the shrine, Wilson could not sleep. His conscience wrestled like two hungry goats in his chest. The pant of Adaeze, he whispered into the darkness of his crowded room. The garment of a woman who has waited for him, who prayed for him, who writes to him with tears of love. How could I betray her? Yet, hunger sat by his side like a loyal companion, mocking him. Pride whispered louder than love. Whenever he walked the street of Lagos, the sight of wealthy men triggered his chest. He saw Joseph driving past in his car, women clinching to him, men bowing in respect, every setting. What is love to a man mocked for his poverty? Can Adaeze love buy me food? Can her letter clothe me in fine clothes? One evening, he read her latest letter by the dim of light of a candle. My dearest Wilson, he said, do not lose hope. I will wait for you. I know you will return with honor. The gods see your struggle. Do not let the city swallow your soul. Her word burned like fire in his hand. For a moment, he resolved never to betray her. But then, he remembered the herbalist's word. As long as she breathes, wealth will not leave your side. Slowly, greed began to strangle love. The decision was made when Wilson finally saved enough money to visit Oka for a short stay. Adaeze ran into his arm the moment she saw him at the village square, her laughter ringing like bell. She was more beautiful than he remembered, her skin glowing, sweating, but greed pushed him forward. With shaking hands, he stole the undergarment and hid it in his bag. The next morning, he left Oka with excuses about urgent work in Lagos. Adaeze kissed him goodbye, her eyes shining with tears and love. She did not know she had been betrayed by the man who carried her heart. The path to Babalawo Ewegbami shrine seemed shorter this time, as if the spirits themselves had cleared the way. Wilson carried Adaeze undergarment in his bag, its weight heavier than iron. The herbalist's eyes glowed the moment he entered. Without a word, Wilson laid the clothes on the mat. The year in the shrine tickled. The herbalist picked it up and began to chant in a language other than the village itself. He tied cowries, feathers, and bone around the clothes. The fire rolled higher, shadow danced on the wall, twisting into strange shape, half woman, half beast. The ground trembled faintly as if something beneath the earth stirred. It is done, Baba Ewegbami declared, his voice echoing like thunder. From this night, witches will chase you like bees chase honey. But remember, your wealth is tied to the life of this woman. She must not suffer. Wilson's heart pounded with fear and excitement. He left the shrine with trembling hands, not knowing that the river had just opened before him. Within days, doors that had been locked to Wilson all his entire life suddenly opened. A man had once helped in the market offered him a job, first as a trader assistant, then within weeks as a partner. Profits multiplied beyond reason. Deals fell into his lap. Strangers favor him without knowing why. Money flows into his pocket like an endless river. He bought new clothes, sharp suits that made him look like a chief. He moved from his crowded room into a fine apartment. He bought a car that roared like a lion. Soon, people began to bow when they saw him, women whispering his name with desire. Men envied him. He returned to Oka once, his pocket swallowed, his car glittering. Wilson has made it, the villagers shouted. The city has crowned him with gold. But Adaeze, though happy, noticed the shadow in his eyes. He was no longer the humble man she had known. His laugh was louder, his words sharper, his temper quick, yet she loved him still, unaware that her very life was the foundation of his wealth. At first, Wilson dismissed the strange thing that began to happen. A whisper in the dark when he was alone, a cold wind in his room, though the window were shut, the feeling of eyes watching him from the corner. But then the dream began. In his sleep, he saw Adaeze standing before a river, her hand bound, her tears falling like rain from the shadow. Pulling her towards the water, he tried to run, but his legs were heavy as stone. Each time he woke up, drenched in sweat, his heart racing. The wet grew, but so did the fear. One night, he confronted Joseph. "My brother, why did you not warn me of these things? The spirits are restless. They haunt me in my dream." Joseph's eyes darkened. "Did you think wet was a goat you could tie to your backyard without feeding? The spirits always collect their share. They start with whisper, then they demand more. Be ready. The road you choose is long." Joseph said nothing. He only stared at the floor as though afraid to speak. Back in Oka, Adaeze began to fall ill. At first, it was small thing, headache, weakness, loss of appetite. Then her dream turned dark. She often woke screaming, saying she saw shadow choking her, pulling her into darkness. Her parents took her to the herbalist in the village, but no medicine worked for her. Day by day, her beauty faded, her laughter faded, her strength drained. Letters she sent to Wilson were fewer, and when he read them, guilt filled his eyes. Yet he did not stop. His words were so sweet, too intoxicating. One night, as he sat in his luxury apartment surrounded by the bottle of wine and laughter of women, he suddenly saw Adaeze's face in the mirror, her eyes hollowed, her lip trembling, her hands reaching out as if begging. Then the glass shattered on his own, cutting his hand. Wilson knew that the spirits were only beginning their feast. As Wilson's wealth grew, his heart grew heavier. He began to notice that money never stayed long in his hand. Each time he gained 10, he lost 7. Women flocked around him, yet he felt no joy. At night, the shadow gathered closer. He whispered grew clearer. Sometimes they spoke in Adaeze's voice, weeping. Sometimes they laughed in a language he could not understand. One evening, as he drove home from a party, he saw something like that froze his heart. On the empty road, Adaeze stood, her wrapper tall, her eyes hollow, her lips moving as though chanting. He slammed on the brake, but when he looked again, she was gone. Only the echo of her cry lingered in the air. By the time he reached his apartment, fear had already taken root in his bone. Wilson, the one who had first introduced him to the world, began to decline. Rumors spread that Joseph had gone mad. Some said he was seen wandering the streets at night, naked. Others said his money had vanished overnight. His business is collapsing like ants in a storm. When Wilson went to visit him, what he saw made his heart skip. Joseph sat in a dark, fleeting room, his eyes shaken, his lips dry, his one strong body failed. "Brother," Wilson whispered, "what happened to you?" Joseph lifted his head slowly. His voice cracked. "The spirits, they do not share, they only collect. I warned you, didn't I? Wealth from their hands is never free. But you lived with it for years," Wilson argued. Joseph's laugh was hollow. "Yes. Do you think this is life? Look at me. They have drained me. Soon they will come for you too. If you still have strength, run, but I fear it is too late." Before Wilson could speak again, Joseph's body shattered. His eyes rolled back with a final gasp. He fell lifeless on the floor. Wilson staggered out of the room. He had just seen the future the spirit had prepared for him. Back in Oka, Adaeze's sickness worsened. Her once bright eyes dimmed like dying embryo. She could barely walk. Villagers whispering that her beauty had been stolen by spirits. Her father, Chief Kelvin, tried every healer, but nothing worked. Finally, he summoned the village chief priest. After casting cowries, the priest's face darkened. "This girl's life is tied to something beyond this village," he said. "Someone has chained her soul to the spirit of wealth. Unless the chain is broken, she will die." Ade is a mother wealth. Wealth. But who would do such a thing to my daughter? The word spread through the village. Fingers began to point towards Wilson, the man who had left Adaeze behind, but now returned with sudden wealth. Wilson's wealth reached its peak. He now owned shop, cars, and men who bowed before him, yet his soul was restless. On the night of his celebration, he invited businessmen, chiefs, and city women. Music rolled, drink flowed, laughter filled the air. But as midnight approached, a strange wind blew through the hall. The drum fell silent on their own. A cold voice whispered through the darkness, "Our time has come." Panic broke out. Guests screamed as shadows crawled along the wall like living snakes. Wilson tried to flee, but the doors slammed shut by themselves. Suddenly, in the center of the room, Adaeze appeared. The ground scattered. Wilson fell to his knee. "Spirit, take me, leave her alone." But the spirits only laughed. What is given cannot be returned. One by one, his guests vanished into shadow, leaving him alone in the hall with Adaeze weeping spirit. Unable to bear it, Wilson rushed back to Oka. He arrived at Adaeze's home just as the villagers gathered around her bed. Her breath was shallow, her skin cold, her eyes half closed. "Adaeze," he cried, falling to his knees beside her. "Forgive me, my love. I was blind. I traded your soul for riches. Please fight, live." Her lip trembled. "Why, Wilson? I gave you my heart. Was it not enough?" He broke down, tears flooding his face. "I will return it. I will go back to the herbalist. I will beg the gods." But Baba Ewegbami had vanished. His shrine stood empty, burned to the ground as though the spirits themselves had erased him. That night, as the cock crowed, Adaeze drew her last breath. Her body, her eyes closing forever. The moment she was gone, Wilson felt his chest tear open. He screamed as if his soul was being ripped apart. His shop crumbled, his car burned, his wealth vanished like mist under the sun. The villagers seized him, beating him, splitting on him. Some wanted him hanged, but Chief Kelvin, though heartbroken, said, "Leave him to the gods. Their punishment is greater than ours." Banished from Oka, Wilson wandered the land like a madman. He muttered Adaeze's name, slept in gutter, ate from the ground. His fine clothes turned to rag, his body bone. In his final days, children threw stones at him. One morning, he was found lifeless under a tree, his hand glitching on a tall letter from Adaeze, the last letter she had written before her illness. It reads, "My love, do not let the city swallow your soul. Remember who you are."